Hello, welcome back to Reads of an Apple. My name is Stacy. Today we are here to finish out my favorites of 2022, and this week, this video will be all about the sci-fi romance that I read during 2022. This is the final video, and I'm kind of excited it's over, but also kind of sad because I'm ready to really kind of focus more on what's going on in 2023. But I should say, this is the final video. If you haven't seen any of the other videos, I have them all in a playlist. I will link it up above, as well as I'm sure it's on the sidebar underneath as a recommended video or something like that anyway. But before we switch to my computer screen, that's why we've got a slightly different layout today. I finally got a new desk and have a little workstation set up finally. And sci-fi, I will say things have changed. So I somehow ended up not reading enough sci-fi throughout the year to completely fill up my bracket. So as you'll see, I had to kind of jury rig and change things around slightly. I'll go over what my normal sci-fi bracket that I created was, and then I will shift to how I had to change things, because I had to change up pairings based on the months that I actually read sci-fi books in, and then had extra books to pair off with those for each portion of the bracket. So this one will be slightly different, probably go a lot quicker because I didn't read near as many sci-fi as I typically do. So yeah, I'll stop rambling at you and let's just jump to the computer screen and we will get into figuring out my favorite sci-fi of 2022. Okay, so here we are on my desktop. Like I said, I'll go over how I originally set up the brackets. So this is what the bracket will look like if you choose to use these brackets yourself. I have all of these created as a template in Canva. So if you're interested in filling them out or using them for 2023 and just changing the date or something, they are all available there. So here is the paranormal one, because this is the original way that I laid them out. So when you pull up the sci-fi bracket on the Canva template link in my link tree, this will be the same kind of layout, just the picture and the color theme will be different. So it will be January versus October, March versus December, May versus bonus book number 2, July versus bonus book number 4, September versus February, November versus April, bonus book number 1 versus June, and bonus book number 3 versus August. Now, like I mentioned in my beginning clip, that is not how this one ended up. I did have to kind of shift things around. So this is what the background and the color theme is for the sci-fi romance one. So the way I had to change them is January is now versus July, and the ones that I put in red are the ones that I changed for my bracket. March versus December is the same. Then we have September versus bonus book number 2, October versus bonus book number 4, then May versus February, November is still versus April, bonus book number 3 versus June, and bonus book 1 versus August. So this is the layout that I had to kind of finagle to get things to properly line up here. Now, this year, if you haven't seen my other 2022 favorite videos yet, but you saw last year's, my 2021 favorites, I did do some things slightly different this year. I created a couple different cheat sheets for me before we actually get into filling out the bracket. I found this year that it has really kind of helped me to go over all the books as a whole first and then fill out the back bracket. So to do that in an easier format than just kind of going through the bracket and talking about each book, I created this cheat sheet, which was actually really nice because I was able to fill it out every at the end of every month and just kind of plop my favorite in there. And then as you can see here, there's a lot of blank spaces, so that is why things kind of finagled around, and we will go through all of these books here. And then the other cheat sheet I'll just kind of show you just for fun I created is one that I have here on my tablet that I'm looking at, and that is this. And what I have on here is same basic information, except I also have the blurb and then all of the information. So title, author, series and number in the series, main character names, and then what I rated it. And this I also did at the end of every month, at least once I had these created. I still haven't created this year's yet, but so I did that for every month. And then what I did is when I had a bunch of different ones outside of the one I chose my favorite. I was like, this one is number 1. And then the rest I put over here in the to decide area. And then I just kind of marked what month that they were originally from. And then once it came time at the end of the year to figure out what bonus books, fill in any blank spaces I might have had because I didn't read any that month, then I was able to go through the to decide and then just pull the cover from those ones up to where I was going to place them. So that way I'm not looking through my entire list of books that I read. So that kind of helped me keep everything collated and together and made things a lot simpler for me. But like I said, I have this on my tablet, and this is what I will be reading off of when we talk about all these books. And as you can see, like, this is my contemporary one. I still had extras that didn't make it to all of these, so this is kind of how it looked like. And then I do a little cover over them saying what month they were from. So we will go ahead and close that down, and let's just get into it. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can get a better look of what we are going with. All right, so we'll just kick things off with January. January started super strong, and we had the release of Using Feiho by Victoria Aveline. This is the 5th book in her Cloclanian series, one of my favorite sci-fi series ever. I still need to read book 6, but anyway, and this is Vanessa and Feiho, and this was so much fun. 5 stars. I mean, most of Victoria Aveline's books are 5 stars for me. But Feiho is like, he's kind of a pirate, but kind of a privateer, and he's now kind of aligning with the Cloclanians to help take down his previous like mob boss of a, I mean, she kind of owned him, and he was kind of a slave. I can't remember if it was fully slave or if he was just like forced to be indebted to her kind of situation. But he just wants so badly to have a mate, and he is so willing to compromise and do whatever he can to have Vanessa accept him. And Vanessa is one of the human ladies who's really struggling. She left her sister and I think it's her niece back home, and we don't really know much until pretty far into the book, but we know that there's some situation where she needs to get home. There's something going on with her sister, and she's very worried about the situation at home. And so she's hoping, because Feiho is a space pilot, that she can basically convince him to take her home. And she's really looking forward to getting back home and seeing her sister and everybody. And yeah, this one was a little more angstier, but because she just doesn't want to fall in love with him, and she just wants to kind of manipulate him and convince him to take her home. And he just wants so badly to have a wife and to find his person, and he's so happy that she chose him to be a potential mate, and he just gets really heartbroken over the situation. And I really love the way that they both kind of dealt with each other's traumas and emotional not so good stability, and really just kind of worked through it together. And I don't know, it was really touching, and it's a gorgeous cover. Most of Victoria's covers are fire. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm very excited to continue on in the series. For February, we have Crave, which is by Sonia Nova. That's a part of the Star Huntress multi-author kind of deal. And this is book 1 of The Warriors of Ray, and this is Olivia and Crave. Now, this one I only gave 4 stars, but I enjoyed it. In this world, humans were living on Earth, and they were attacked by basically this alien race species that use like biological-ish weapons. Oh my gosh, my washer is being very dry, very loud. I'm sorry if you can hear it in the background. But it completely ruins life on Earth. And what they're finding out decades later is that not only did it kill a bunch of people, but it changed genetics. And it's done a lot of like genetic illnesses and conditions that make it so people can't really survive anymore. But the Warriors of Ray is part of what Crave is from, and the race he's a part of. And they actually end up coming and saving Earth from this other race. And in, I don't know, I guess what they receive for helping Earth is that all unmated women is what they call it. So they're not married, they don't have kids. They get like basically forced DNA testing, but this DNA testing will tell them if they have a fated mate, and if they do, that's a warrior, then who it is, and no matter what happens, they immediately get, like, once it's approved, like, once they get the notification and they get the testing that, hey, you have a mate, they're immediately sent there. Their family gets compensation for them just kind of being ripped out of their lives, but yeah, they're immediately sent off to wherever their mate is. And so Olivia has kind of escaped this testing, this compatibility testing, because she is becoming a doctor, and that is a highly prized job. Doesn't seem like the right word, but it is the right word. But it's like a position that's really needed. And so when someone's becoming a doctor, and it's not like she's becoming a doctor to escape this, she actually is becoming a doctor because her best friend growing up was when they were kids, was one of the people that had this genetic mutation happen when the other aliens attacked. And so she is becoming a doctor because she really wants to help figure out how to cure and help people who are having these weird genetic mutations happen to them. But it's fine that her time is up, and she immediately finds out that she is mated to Crave, and she gets sent to his planet right away. However, when she lands on this planet, he is a warrior on this, I think it's a mining planet, but when she lands in this other planet, it is being attacked by the bad aliens. And so she basically lands in the middle of a war zone, and Crave has to fight to get to her and save her, and she's just like so stressed out about the situation because of what's happening. And I feel like once we kind of got past her surliness of, I mean, the situation is what it is. It sucks, that's for sure. But, you know, she grew up with knowing that if this situation happens, she doesn't really get a choice. It is what it is. And then Crave also kind of realizes how Earth is dealing with this and how they're not allowed to have contact with people back home, or at least Earth is perpetuating that they're not allowed to have contact back home and things like that, because, you know, they're trying to make them look out to be like, they're trying to make the Warriors of Red look worse than they are. But, and it could just be the first few mates weren't allowed to contact home because they were worried about them not actually becoming good mates or something like that. But this is pretty far into the situation where it's not, like, she knows going in some of what's kind of expected and what's going to happen if she is properly matched. But I don't know, I really enjoyed this. I loved how when they arrive, there's a different, like, there's the home base, and then in a different part of the planet is where, like, people teleport in and out. And so he has to get to her there, and then they have to get back to the home base that's protected, but their ship ends up going down. So then we kind of get forced proximity, traveling across this mining planet, and they're really able to kind of connect and break down a lot of those walls between them. And he's just so happy. And this is another one. He's just so happy to have a mate, and he just will do anything for her because he loves her to death. And he has all of these plans and this special gift saved for his mate, and he's just one of those aliens that's always wanted a mate, and he's so happy that he finally found her. And she's just surly as all get out. And so yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about that one, but I enjoyed it. 4 stars for sure. Then March and April, as you can see, and also May, I don't have any sci-fi books because I kind of got away from it for a little bit. So let's pop back into June. So in June we have Overlord by Anna Hackett. This is a return to Anna Hackett for me. It's been a while since I've read her books. And this is Overlord. So this is the first book in her Galactic King series. It's one of her newer series. And this was actually chosen for the Smart Women Read Romance exclusive Patreon pick. And yeah, I enjoyed it. 4 stars. Anna Hackett for me is very much a beginner or an intro sci-fi world. I feel like it's not too heavy on some of the sci-fi stuff. And it's very, like, beginner, and some of the, like, world building and fantasy type elements are a little more kind of surface level, I feel like, which makes it easier for people who are newer to the series. But when you've read so much sci-fi romance like I am, it does kind of not, like, you notice more that it isn't quite as well explained or thought through or things. Or maybe that's just how it came across to me. But I enjoyed this. So this is Mal and Rain. Mal is a pilot. And I don't think she's with NASA. I think she's with, like, a private space exploration company on Earth. But there is some sort of weird convergence that happens when they are testing a new space rocket. And they end up jumping to the other side of the universe, which is where Rain is. And yeah, he is the overlord of this planet. And it's really kind of interesting because we have one planet that his father basically rules. And then we have some nearby planets. I think there's 3, maybe there's 4. But each of them are taken care of by Rain and his half-brothers. So they're all sons of this evil king. But they have different mothers. And they all have different kind of things. Like the second book, I think, is like a wolf shifter or something like that. So I'm intrigued to read it. But it definitely has some paranormal elements brought into it. But yeah, so she lands here, and she is just really trying to get back to where her ship landed, because her best friend Poppy, who's more of like the science person that's on the rocket ship, when the ship crashed, it broke apart, and Mallory didn't end up in the same area that Poppy did. So she's trying to get back to the crash site to figure out what happened to Poppy. And so she keeps trying to escape Rain and his form and his aliens. They're Zoltans. And so there's this like push and pull between them. They have this interesting type of magic or it's almost like a force kind of thing. It's like a mix between like the force from Star Wars and normal magic, where they like take energy from the earth, but everybody's supposed to have like be able to pull on different types of energy. So like healing or water based or power based or different things like that. And Mallory is a human, and so of course she's special, and she is able to pull off of all of these different magic. And I felt like she got control of this ability really quickly. I thought it was weird how quickly this ability manifested in her. And so that's where most of my downticks came, is just the magic system and the world building. And that situation is kind of why I took this down to 4 stars from 5. But I enjoyed like Mal and Rain's romance, and I definitely am intrigued to read more. The second book is Poppy's book, and yeah, so I definitely would like to at least go back and try to see how this series evolves. But I enjoyed it. And yeah, if you haven't read very much sci-fi and you're looking to get into sci-fi outside of Ice Planet Barbarians, I think Anna Hackett is a good like stepping stone into the subgenre. I definitely recommend her Warriors of Eon series, or Eon Warriors, something like that. But that is my favorite series from her as of now. So then we've got July and August, nothing. So let's jump down to the other half here. So then I was a little better at trying to get through at least one good sci-fi a month. So I finally picked up In the Arms of an Android by Tracy Lauren. I've read Tracy Lauren's fantasy romance and enjoyed it. And I've been wanting to try her sci-fi series. So this is the first book in her Android series. And this is Valens and Andrea. And so in this series, an Elon Musk type person, billionaire, too much money, is very interested in space and making first contact. And he kidnaps a bunch of different kinds of women, puts them in like little crypto coffins, basically, pod things, and sends them out into the universe with like a little message on it that says who he is, where they're from, the situation that kind of occurred, and about planet Earth and kind of where planet Earth is in the solar system from, what we could tell at the time. And so this is like thousands of years. I think it's 2,000 years from like 2021 or something like that. And so Valens is an android, and he's on like a research ship, and they get this weird ping when they're searching this new planet, and they follow the ping and they find this little like pod that Andrea is in, and he basically is the first to let her out. She kind of imprints on him and they deal with kind of getting her to accept what happened. And yeah, and so she struggles. I mean, she's really going through a lot of struggling about, loss of family, loss of life, loss of her home planet, and even if she were to make it back, it's 2,000 years in the future, so there's no hope for her. It's a really, I feel like it's an even worse situation, but it also does kind of help because sometimes I get a little annoyed with they just want to go back home, and I'm like, you're kidnapped, deal with it. You're gonna fall in love with the alien. That's the point of the genre, but I get it. But sometimes I'm just like, let's move on. We don't all need to be like worried about going home, right? So I feel like that culled that portion, but then she had a lot of grief and trauma to work through. So, but I enjoyed it. I really liked the soft nature of her and Valen's relationship, and then it got a little weird because and I definitely want to learn more about the situation behind the androids and stuff going on. I need more information from that, but I gave it 4 stars. I definitely enjoyed myself with this. I just wanted more about the android portion because I felt like that wasn't built up enough for what happens with other androids at the end of this book. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to read more from Tracy Lauren for sure. Then in October, I finally got back to Dark Planet Warriors. I first read this book in like 2018 or 2019. I read the first book. So here's book 2 finally. This is by Anna Carbon. This, like I said, the second book in the Dark Planet Warriors series, and I gave this 4.5 stars. It was super fun. I didn't really remember much when I first went into it, but as we were going, I started remembering things from the first book. But so this is Prince Zalakian, something like that. I'm going to call him Zal. It's Xal. And Sarah, this is a very technologically forward Earth. There is space travel and things like that. And Earth has now kind of been unified because it's our planet against the other planets at times. And Prince Zal is landing on Earth. He is a part of the Cordolians. And in the first book, we really kind of see this portion of their race have separated from the rest of the planet because their queen and Zal's mother is a horrible person, and they're trying to just kind of not live under those dictator-esque situations, and so they're trying to just kind of assimilate with other races and other planets, and they just want to be a part of the universe and not seen as like the big bad alien monsters that are here to take everybody out. And so they are separating, and I don't remember how they figure it out. I think, Sarah goes over to interview him, and they find out that she is a reporter, and so they kind of use her to kind of help show the truth of who the Cordolians are, like who they really are and what they really want and why they're really here. And she is with Prince Zal all the time, and it's their love story, and I really enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. And I don't really have anything else to say about it outside of that. It was super fun. And this one was interesting because we spent a lot of time on Earth because they're trying to escape their dark planet. So, because if I remember correctly, that planet is like constantly nighttime, so it's kind of weird like that. Then in November we had new release, the new series by Zoe Draven, Desire in His Blood. This is the first book in her Brides of the Kylor series, and I give this 5 stars. I mean, I'm not surprised. I love Zoe Draven. I've read most of her backlist, but not all, as you can tell coming up here. And I am so excited. She shared like her Pinterest board for her, like the vibes of this series several months before this book came out, and I was so hyped. And yeah, I loved it. I mean, we've got winged blood drinking gladiator barbarian warrior type aliens, but they're also very civilized and they have some magic, and I enjoyed it. So Gemma is a human, and these are humans that are working on different planets, and she is really kind of struggling to keep her family together. Her father has kind of put her family very much in debt. It's very much kind of a historical vibe where just the way that the household is set up reminds me a lot of like Regency England and things like that, and just like historical England times. And she's kind of breaking the mold a little bit and taking over the family finances, running the business, and she finds out that the debts are worse than she thought, and so she agrees to do something reckless, and she marries someone for a whole bunch of money. But she's pretty smart about it because she's paying off the debts, and then she also asks for some extra money that only she can access. And this is basically to keep her sisters from being forced into a drastic situation, and also make sure that whatever money her father is able to access doesn't kind of just get wasted away, so she can still help pay for the payroll for the workers and take care of her sisters, basically. And yeah, so this is enemies to lovers. Azur is coming after Gemma because of something her father did when he was in the space military. And so he's taking it out on her. And then he finds out that she's pretty much his fated mate. And I don't know. I love it. It was just so good. I love Zoe Draven. And her mind just fascinates me so much. So 5 stars. Yeah, five amazing stars. And then after reading Desire in His Blood, I realized I never went back and finished the Horde King series, her Horde Kings of Drakkar. I had read the first 2 books as they came out because I had read a lot of her Crave and Kiva books back when I like first really got into sci-fi romance. And then I read these when the first 2 books in this series when they came out. And then for some reason I just never went back when the other ones were released and read them either. And the series had since blown up. So I don't know why I never went back and finished this series because it's an amazing series, but it is my goal in 2023 to finally finish this series. And then I think I only have 1 or 2 other books left in her backlist to have her backlist completely read. So I need to get caught up on Zoe Draven. But so I had book 3 to read, Madness of the Horde King. And this is Vienne and Davik. And oh my gosh, this was so good. It was so good. This was the last book I read of 2022. And it was just the perfect way to end my reading of the year. It just, so Davik is the mad king, the mad Horde King. We kind of see him a little bit. I think distinctly in book number 2. And maybe it was in book number 1, but we get back into the main city here. And where the big king has called all his Horde Kings in. And while he's there, he really doesn't want to be there. He doesn't get along with most of the other Horde Kings. And he's just kind of okay to be by himself. And he sees ghosts. That's part of his madness. You find out very quickly, so I don't mind spoiling that. But that's part of his madness. And while he is wandering around, he comes across Vienne, who somehow snuck into this city. And she is trying to get to the big king because she was captured by another alien race on this planet and basically forced to come and offer his terms of surrender to the Drakars. And yeah, so he takes her and they're going to try to figure it out, but then he finds out she's a slave and he starts to feel things for her. And I love Zoe Draven, and to come back into this series was just so cozy for me, and I love it to pieces, and I definitely need to read more from Zoe Draven, and I need to get caught up in her backlist. So, I mean, surprise, surprise, this was also 5 stars for me. And then I only have one bonus book for 2022, and I gave that to Android Blue Christmas by Tracy Lauren. This is the second book in the Android series, and this is Evelyn and Gaius. So after the first book, they are trying to find other human women, and they are in a race against the other androids after they find out some situations at the end of the first book. So this is Evelyn and Gaius. Evelyn is kidnapped around Christmas time while she's on her way to an ugly sweater party. So when she is found, she's got an ugly Christmas sweater on. And yes, this is a little more novella sized. I read this for Vlogmas and I gave this 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it more than the other one. This definitely kind of had another slower, softer build of their romance. But I love the way that Tracy Lauren is writing these androids and how there's so much caretaking for these humans with this trauma of losing 2,000 years. And Evelyn here definitely struggled a lot more than the lady in the first book. And I loved her connection with Gaius here a little bit more. It didn't feel like there was a little bit of attachment, but he wasn't the one to open, like it didn't feel like imprinting on him. She just felt this connection. She just naturally felt safe with him, and he kind of seemed to be able to be the only one to read her when she needed like people to leave her alone, when she needed to just be left alone or just sit in silence, or he just kind of really understood what she needed, which was really nice. And yeah, so I gave it 4.5 stars. I don't want to go too much into it because it spoils the first book, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then I typically do 3 honorable mentions, but this year I just have 1. And I am going to give it to the Alien Zookeeper's Abduction. This is by Zara Zenia and Juno Wells. And this is the first book in their Alien Abduction series. And it is what it is, Alien Zookeeper's Abduction. Kay is running this, I don't know. It's kind of an attraction ship, but it's this huge ship that goes to different planets, and it basically sucks up and copies different biomes, and then it's like a research ship, and it's like all automated. And they end up abducting Jewel, and she's just like, I'm a human, I'm not some mindless creature, like I am a sentient being. And they're kind of forced on the ship. They are the only ones there, and I enjoyed this. I found this as a free audiobook that the author had posted somewhere, and yeah, I enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. I haven't really read too many Zookeeper alien romances. This is the first one that I can remember, and yeah, I enjoyed it. 4 stars, and so I just kind of wanted to throw it out there as an honorable mention. So it's not going to be in the bracket because I wanted to leave at least 1 honorable mention of what I read. So that was, of my 4 stars, that was the one that was at the bottom when I listed them best to least best of 4 stars. So there we go. There are all of the books on the bracket. So we're just going to get right into it here. So let me pull up Canva. So as you can see, I have my bracket kind of already set up here. This is the one that we went over with all the red. And I have things situated here. So the first couple rounds are going to be very easy here. And I probably could have just gone even farther and got things set up, but we're just going to do it. So we are just going to move these forward real quick and we're going to talk. So obviously Feiho wins against nobody. I'm going to close my tablet here because I don't need that. And let's zoom in a little better so I can have better control of the situation of what's going on. Okay. And then obviously Horde Kings will win here. Alright, and then In the Arms of an Android will win here. Alrighty. Alright, I guess we don't want to center, but that's fine. I'm just going to leave it. Okay. And then Dark Planet Falling will win there because it's by itself. And this is why I kind of made things... And so that they aren't like against each other, but I probably could have just filled this out to the second row until we actually had things to fight against, but that's fine. You can just watch me do this real quick here, but so yeah, this one will probably go very quickly. Okay, and then here we go. Last one, Android Blue Christmas. I definitely need... I'm a big fan of the sci-fi romance, so I was kind of surprised when it came to the end of the year that I didn't read that much. Okay, so there we go. Round 2. Round 1 is done. That was a very easy round 2, so let's get back into it. Ooh, using... Oh, no. Oh, this is a hard one. Using Feiho versus Madness of the Horde King. It kills me to bump using Feiho out so early. Okay, we'll come back. We'll come back to that. Okay, Dark Planet Falling versus In the Arms of the Android. I'm going to give it to Dark Planet Falling. I rated it more. And I think I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it just a touch more. Then we will scroll over here. Desire in His Blood versus Crave. Definitely Desire in His Blood. Oh my god, it's so sad that 2 of my 3 5-stars are like pitted against each other first off. Overlord versus Android Blue Christmas. I'm going to give it to Android Blue Christmas, which is fun. Okay, so back up over here. Oh. Part of me wants to go with using Feiho, just because I already have another Zoe Draven that's making it to the next round, but that's not what this is. I'm not supposed to look at all of them. I'm supposed to just look at these 2 and see which one I liked more. And this is really hard. Really hard for me. I feel bad. I love Victoria Aveline. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for Feiho. I feel bad, but I don't feel like I made the wrong choice. I just feel bad for Feiho because he gets kicked out so early. Oh no. Okay. So there we go. That is where we are currently sitting. Okay. So that was quarterfinals. This is going super quick, but like I said, I don't have very many books. So we've got semifinal 1. Whoop, wrong direction. Madness of the Horde King versus Desire in His Blood. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, let's be honest. It probably would have been those 2 books for the final round anyway. But I'm gonna percolate on that. So, Dark Planet Falling versus Android Blue Christmas. Now, these are both 4.5 star rating wise. Maybe this is recency bias because I read this one in December and this one was a couple months earlier, but I think I'm going to give it to Android Blue Christmas. I think I enjoyed their romance overall a little bit better, and I don't know. They're just, the softness of it just was really nice. Okay. I think I'm going to give it to Desire in His Blood. I love the Horde Kings, but Desire in His Blood gave me like everything I could want. So I'm going to do Desire in His Blood. Which, can we go in the middle, please? Why are you finding me? I hate it when it does this. Okay, if we zoom in a lot, will you center? I need to kind of change things next year so I can center them easier. Okay. All right, there we go. So there is semifinals. I will just kind of zoom out a little bit here. So on to our final round, and you will can probably tell we've got Desire in His Blood versus Android Blue Christmas, and this one is no hard choice whatsoever. Desire in His Blood all of the way. So yeah, there we have it. My favorite sci-fi romance of 2022 is Desire in His Blood by Zoe Draven. And I'm very excited. I know she's currently working on the second book in this series, and I cannot wait. And I mean, most of these books are rated really highly. There were only one or two sci-fi romances that I picked up this year that were less than 3 stars or less than 4 stars. I think there was a 3.5 and a 3 star. And I could have put them in the honorable mentions, but I just kind of left it as is. And yeah, so I have my authors that I usually go to. I need to read more paranormal romance. I need to read more, or not paranormal. This is sci-fi. I need to read more sci-fi romance, and I need to try to find some new authors in sci-fi romance as well, because when I do pick up sci-fi, it tends to be the same kind of few authors, but that's fine because they're awesome. Oh, and I did also reread a couple Ice Planet Barbarian books, but they were rereads, so I also didn't put them on this bracket. I tried to do all new to me books for these brackets, but yeah. Anyway, Desire in His Blood is the winner. I'm pretty happy with that. But honestly, any of these books, if you're into sci-fi romance or you're interested in starting sci-fi romance, I recommend any and all of these books. And so yeah, there we go. My favorite sci-fi romances of 2022. And you are lower this time. Yeah, this one went a little quicker, but I'm surprised it was still over 40 minutes just because I think I talked about each book a little bit longer because I knew there were less books that we were talking about. But I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed filling out all of my brackets this year. I definitely want to continue doing bracket style. Sometimes it's a hard decision to choose between a couple of books, but I enjoy doing it. Like I said, check out my link tree down below for links to templates of these if you're interested in getting copies of the ones I did in 2021 because you like that layout better. Let me know. I can always send you a template link. And I do already have my backgrounds picked out for 2023. So hopefully in the next month or so, I will get my brackets and all of my little cheat sheets created so I can start doing that monthly, and then there's less to do when it comes time to fill things out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you are a sci-fi romance fan or you are interested in any of these, let me know what your favorite was or what one you're very interested in picking up. But otherwise, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you'd like to leave me an emoji instead, leave me something wing or vampire or whatever vibe you get from Desire in His Blood. But otherwise, I will see you all soon with another video.